Have you ever wondered why some businesses seem to have a magnetic pull, attracting customers and industry recognition effortlessly? What if I told you there's a powerful tool that can transform your business, establish you as an industry leader, and drive growth like never before? Welcome to the ultimate guide on launching a business podcast. I'm about to reveal the secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs and companies skyrocket their success through the power of podcasting. But before we dive in, let me ask you this. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Now, you might be thinking, another marketing trend? Is this really worth my time? Well, let me stop you right there. Podcasting isn't just a trend, it's a revolution in how businesses connect with their audience. And the best part? The podcasting landscape is still wide open, with plenty of room for you to make your mark. But here's the kicker. As more businesses catch on, the window of opportunity is closing fast. That's why you need to act now. In this guide, I'll walk you through everything you need to know to launch a successful business podcast, from conception to your first episode and beyond. So, why should you trust me? Well, I've helped numerous businesses transform their digital presence through podcasting, and I've seen firsthand the incredible results it can bring. But don't just take my word for it, stick around, and I'll show you real examples of how podcasting has revolutionized businesses just like yours. Now, let's start with the foundation of any successful podcast: choosing the right topic. This might seem straightforward, but it's where many businesses stumble. Your podcast topic isn't just about what you want to talk about, it's about what your audience craves to hear. Imagine this: you're at a networking event, surrounded by your ideal customers. What conversations are they having? What problems are they trying to solve? That's where your podcast topic lives. But here's a secret that many overlook. The most successful business podcasts don't just provide information, they offer transformation. They take their listeners on a journey from where they are now to where they want to be. And that's exactly what we're going to help you do. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but my industry is boring. Who would want to listen to a podcast about it? Let me stop you right there. There's no such thing as a boring industry, only boring presentations. With the right approach, you can make any topic fascinating. And I'm going to show you how. But choosing a topic is just the beginning. To create a podcast that truly resonates with your audience, you need a solid content strategy. Think of your content strategy as the roadmap for your podcast journey. Without it, you're just wandering aimlessly, hoping to stumble upon success. So, what makes a great content strategy? It's not just about planning your episodes, it's about crafting an experience for your listeners. It's about creating a narrative that keeps them coming back episode after episode, eagerly anticipating what's next. One of the most powerful tools in your content strategy arsenal is the use of seasons. Just like your favorite TV show, organizing your podcast into seasons allows you to dive deep into specific themes, creating a cohesive listening experience that hooks your audience. But here's where many podcasters go wrong. They focus solely on their content and neglect the most crucial element: their audience. Your podcast isn't about you, it's about your listeners. Every decision you make, from your topic selection to your episode structure, should be guided by one question: how does this serve my audience? Now, let's talk about something that stops many aspiring podcasters in their tracks: equipment. The good news? You don't need a professional recording studio to create a high-quality podcast. In fact, you probably have most of what you need right in your pocket. That's right, your smartphone is a powerful podcasting tool. With the right techniques, which I'll share with you later, you can create professional-sounding episodes using just your phone. But if you're ready to level up your audio game, I'll also guide you through selecting the perfect microphone and other equipment to make your podcast sound as professional as any top-rated show. But great equipment is nothing without great content. And that's where many business podcasts fall flat. They focus on self-promotion, turning their show into a long-form advertisement. But here's the truth. Your audience doesn't care about your product or service, they care about the value you can provide. So, how do you create content that your audience can't resist? It all starts with understanding the power of storytelling. Humans are hardwired to respond to stories. They bypass our logical defenses and speak directly to our emotions. And when you can tap into that power, you can create a podcast that's not just informative, but truly transformative. But creating great content is only half the battle. If no one can find your podcast, all your hard work goes to waste. That's why podcast SEO is crucial. But don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with technical jargon. Instead, I'll show you simple, actionable steps you can take to make your podcast more discoverable. Imagine this: someone in your target audience is searching for solutions to their problems. They type a query into their podcast app, and there you are, the first result, ready to provide the answers they're looking for. That's the power of good podcast SEO, and I'm going to show you how to harness it. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: monetization. Many businesses shy away from podcasting because they don't see a direct path to ROI. But here's what they're missing: a podcast is not just a content platform, it's a relationship-building tool. And in business, relationships are everything. Think about it. When someone listens to your podcast, they're inviting you into their day. They're choosing to spend time with you, whether they're commuting, working out, or doing chores around the house. That level of intimacy and trust is hard to achieve through any other marketing channel. But here's where it gets really exciting: a podcast can open up revenue streams you never even imagined. From sponsorships and advertising to creating premium content and selling your own products or services, the possibilities are endless. And the best part? These opportunities come from an engaged audience that already knows, likes, and trusts you. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but I'm not a natural on the mic. I don't have a radio voice. Let me let you in on a little secret: authenticity trumps perfection every time. Your audience doesn't want a polished radio DJ, they want you, with all your quirks and imperfections. That's what makes you relatable, and that's what will keep your audience coming back for more. But don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'll share techniques to help you sound your best, even if you've never spoken into a microphone before. From proper mic technique to effective editing, you'll learn how to create a professional-sounding podcast, even on your very first episode. Now, let's talk about something that many podcast guides overlook: the visual elements of your show. But wait, you might be thinking, isn't podcasting an audio medium? You're right, but here's the thing: in today's digital landscape, your podcast needs to look as good as it sounds. From your cover art to your episode graphics, every visual element of your podcast is an opportunity to attract new listeners and reinforce your brand. I'll show you how to create eye-catching visuals that stand out in crowded podcast directories and social media feeds, even if you're not a designer. But creating a great podcast is only the first step. To truly succeed, you need to promote your show effectively. And that's where many podcasters fall short. They create amazing content, but then sit back and hope listeners will magically discover them. Let me tell you, hope is not a strategy. Now, let's dive into the world of podcast promotion. This is where the rubber meets the road, where your amazing content gets the audience it deserves. But here's a secret that most podcasters miss: promotion starts long before you launch your first episode. Imagine this: you're about to launch your podcast, and you already have a crowd of eager listeners waiting to tune in. Sounds too good to be true? Well, it's not only possible, but it's also essential for a successful launch. I'll show you how to build anticipation for your podcast, creating a buzz that will catapult your show to the top of the charts from day one. But here's where it gets really exciting. Your promotion strategy can do more than just attract listeners, it can attract high-profile guests to your show. Picture interviewing the top thought leaders in your industry, positioning yourself alongside them as a peer. It's not just about the prestige, it's about the doors these connections can open for your business. Now, let's talk about a topic that makes many podcasters break out in a cold sweat: analytics. But don't worry, I'm not going to drown you in numbers and charts. Instead, I'll show you how to use podcast analytics as a powerful tool to grow your show and your business. Imagine knowing exactly what topics resonate most with your audience, which episodes keep them listening to the very end, and even where in the world your listeners are tuning in from. This information is gold, allowing you to refine your content strategy and tailor your show to your audience's preferences. But here's where many podcasters go wrong. They focus solely on download numbers. While downloads are important, they're just the tip of the iceberg. I'll show you how to dig deeper, uncovering insights that can inform not just your podcast strategy, but your entire business strategy. Now, let's address a concern that stops many businesses from starting a podcast: the time commitment. You're busy running your business, how can you possibly find time to produce a regular podcast? Well, I'm about to share some productivity hacks that will allow you to create high-quality podcast content efficiently, without sacrificing your other business priorities. Imagine being able to create a month's worth of podcast content in a single day. Sounds impossible? It's not only possible, but it's also a strategy used by many successful podcasters. I'll show you how to batch your content creation, streamlining your process and freeing up your time to focus on other aspects of your business. But efficiency isn't just about saving time, it's about maximizing impact. That's why I'm going to introduce you to the concept of content repurposing. Imagine turning a single podcast episode into a blog post, several social media posts, an email newsletter, and even a video. Suddenly, your podcast isn't just a podcast, it's the engine driving your entire content marketing strategy. Now, let's talk about something that many podcast guides overlook: the legal side of podcasting. Don't worry, I'm not going to bog you down with legalese, but I am going to show you how to protect your podcast and your business, covering everything from copyright issues to sponsor agreements. Imagine building a successful podcast only to face legal troubles that could have been easily avoided. It's a nightmare scenario, but one that's all too common. I'll show you how to navigate the legal landscape of podcasting, ensuring that your show is not just successful, but also legally sound. But let's move on to something more exciting: monetization. Now, I know we touched on this earlier, but it's worth diving deeper. Because here's the truth: a well-executed podcast can be a significant revenue generator for your business. And I'm not just talking about direct monetization through ads or sponsorships. Imagine your podcast becoming a lead generation machine, bringing a steady stream of qualified prospects into your business. Or picture it opening doors to speaking engagements, book deals, or lucrative partnerships. These are just a few of the ways a podcast can impact your bottom line, and I'm going to show you how to tap into all of them. But here's the real power of podcast monetization. It allows you to serve your audience at a higher level. By generating revenue from your podcast, you can invest in creating even better content, bringing on high-profile guests, or expanding your show in ways that provide even more value to your listeners. It's a virtuous cycle that benefits both you and your audience. Now, let's talk about something that separates the good podcasts from the great ones: production quality. You might be thinking, but I thought you said I could start with just my smartphone. And you absolutely can. But as your podcast grows, you might want to level up your production game. Imagine your podcast sounding as polished and professional as any top-rated show, with crystal clear audio, engaging sound design, and seamless editing. It's not just about impressing your listeners, though that's certainly a benefit. High-quality production shows your audience that you take your podcast seriously, that you respect their time and attention. But don't worry, you don't need to become an audio engineer overnight. I'll guide you through the process of improving your production quality step by step, from basic techniques you can implement right away to more advanced strategies you can grow into as your podcast evolves. Now, let's address a fear that holds many would-be podcasters back: the fear of running out of content. It's a valid concern after all. Consistently creating valuable content is no small feat. But I'm going to let you in on a secret. The world is full of content ideas, if you know where to look. Imagine never struggling for episode ideas again. Imagine having a content calendar filled months in advance, with topics you know your audience will love. It's not just a fantasy, it's entirely achievable with the right strategies. I'll show you how to become a content idea machine, ensuring that your podcast never runs dry. But creating great content is only part of the equation. To truly succeed, your podcast needs to stand out in a sea of competition. That's why I'm going to introduce you to the concept of podcast positioning. This isn't just about choosing a niche, it's about carving out a unique space in your industry that only you can fill. Imagine being the go-to podcast in your field, the show that everyone in your industry considers a must-listen. It's not about being all things to all people, it's about being everything to a specific group of people. And when you nail your positioning, your audience won't just listen to your podcast, they'll evangelize it, spreading the word and growing your audience organically. Now, let's talk about a topic that's often overlooked, but critically important: podcast accessibility. In our diverse world, it's crucial to ensure that your podcast can be enjoyed by as wide an audience as possible. But here's the thing: making your podcast more accessible doesn't just benefit listeners with disabilities, it can actually improve the experience for all of your listeners. Imagine your podcast reaching and impacting people who might otherwise miss out on your valuable content. From providing transcripts to considering the needs of listeners with hearing impairments, I'll show you how to make your podcast more inclusive, expanding your potential audience, and demonstrating your commitment to serving all members of your community. But let's not forget about the most important person in this entire podcasting journey: you. Starting and maintaining a podcast is a significant undertaking, and it's crucial to approach it in a way that's sustainable for you and your business. That's why I'm going to share strategies for avoiding burnout and keeping your podcasting passion alive. Imagine still being as excited about your podcast on episode 100 as you were on episode 1. Imagine your podcast being a source of energy and inspiration, not a draining obligation. With the right approach, this isn't just possible, it's inevitable. I'll show you how to structure your podcasting efforts in a way that aligns with your business goals and personal strengths, ensuring long-term success and satisfaction. Now, as we near the end of our journey together, let's look to the future. The podcasting landscape is constantly evolving, with new technologies and trends emerging all the time. But don't let this intimidate you, let it excite you. Because with change comes opportunity. Imagine being at the forefront of podcasting innovation, leveraging new technologies to create even more engaging and impactful content. From interactive podcasts to AI-powered personalization, the future of podcasting is bright with possibility. And by starting your podcasting journey now, you'll be perfectly positioned to take advantage of these emerging opportunities. But here's the most important thing to remember: the best time to start a podcast was 5 years ago. The second best time is now. The podcasting revolution is well underway, but there's still plenty of room for your voice, your expertise, your unique perspective. Your audience is out there, waiting to hear what you have to say. So, what are you waiting for? It's time to take action. Time to share your knowledge, build your authority, and grow your business through the power of podcasting. The path ahead may seem daunting, but remember, every podcasting success story started with a single episode. And you don't have to go it alone. Throughout this guide, I've shared insights and strategies to help you navigate every step of your podcasting journey. From choosing your topic to promoting your show, from creating compelling content to monetizing your efforts, you now have the roadmap to podcasting success. But knowledge is only power when it's applied. So here's my challenge to you: take one action today towards starting your podcast. It could be brainstorming topic ideas, researching equipment, or even recording a practice episode. Whatever it is, take that first step, because a year from now, you'll wish you had started today. Remember, your voice matters. Your expertise is valuable, and there's an audience out there waiting to hear what you have to say. So go ahead, take that leap. Your podcasting success story starts now. Who knows? The next podcast success story I share might just be yours. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of business podcasting. Here's to your success, to sharing your voice with the world, and to the amazing growth that awaits you and your business. Now go out there and make some podcast magic.